The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 59.
Oh my God, I can't wait for the 10th episode after this.
All right, we're not immature at all. I'm co-host Junior, and to my right is co-host Nick, and to his right is co-host Vince. This is our starting lineup, and I got it right, unlike some NHL teams, right? Did you see that?
No.
Nashville got a penalty at the start of the game last week, or at the beginning of the week, because they didn't start the lineup they announced to the referees.
Wow.
There was a player that wasn't supposed to be on the starting lineup that was on the ice. So they got a 2-minute penalty right off the bat.
Was it because of the fact that that player was sick or in the washroom? Or...
No, it was just miscommunication.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a dumpster fire lately.
I'm glad that we got our starting roster right.
I mean, it's only 3 people, eh?
No one else is going to do it, so.
Nobody else is going to do
There's
this
no
podcast.
replacement. Yeah,
No bench.
It's true. We should get a bench.
Yeah.
Well, we got backup other stuff. I mean, we got some laptops.
Yes.
That we paid for out of our own pockets because this podcast is too cheap to pay for anything for us.
Thanks to a listener, Adam, for his help.
Yes, thank you, listener Adam. And we're actually going to be featuring his team, his fantasy team, later on when we're
Roland
doing our...
Fat Dubinskis.
Yeah, that's the team name. And we're going to be doing basically a roster triage / doctor / doing whatever, because we don't really know what the words mean. So we're just going to be surgeoning his roster to bits.
And here we go, making up words again.
Surgeoning. It's a good one. Come on, guys. It's good.
SURGEONING. Surgeoning.
Spelling beat.
You won a prize. All right. There was some big hits. There was some big injuries.
Suspensions.
There was some suspensions.
It was a crazy week in the NHL.
It was
absolutely
a fun week.
Wild week.
It was a
some
fun
like
week.
huge injuries.
Yeah.
Some massive hits.
The Montreal Canadiens played Jekyll and Hyde. They beat a Stanley Cup favorite.
Like always.
And then they lose horribly to the Vegas Golden Knights thereafter. So yeah, it's been fun.
It's been fun. Hey, guys, nice hoodies.
Yeah, Sportira, my friend.
Sportira, thank
Yes,
you
hooking
again.
us up.
Hooking us up with some hoodies because the weather is getting colder and we are freezing.
We got some good feedback on some people who saw us wear some merch. So if it does interest you, if we have the demand, then maybe
a merch store.
Maybe something like that.
Wow.
But
we're going up in the world, or
I don't know. Look, some people
desperate.
some people expressed interest of wanting to buy merch if we had. So if we get the demand, so if you're interested, you let us know in any possible way, and we'll see if we have enough demand to actually.
We're moving from the kids' table
have an
to
inventory.
the teenager table right now.
Well, I mean, with your comment that started the show of 69, yes, it is the teenager table. You're absolutely right about that. Guys, anything else that we could expect to hear on this episode today?
Well, thank you everybody for listening, either on Spotify, YouTube, all social media brands. We're out there. Follow
Please
us,
like, subscribe.
Subscribe if you'd like. It's free. We're not asking for money yet.
That little we're not asking for money at all. That little bell
yet.
icon to notify you when the episode is live. All these things are going to be worth it for you and worth it for us in the end. So
Look out
we
for our
appreciate
shorts. We've got a few shorts coming out too. So some episodes.
Not what Vince is wearing, but
No.
And Nick finalized a huge deal today that we're going to talk about and
Do we have
dissect. Yep, And we kind of all have a little role somehow in there, so we'll discuss it. Should be fun in our rumbling section.
A little bit too many people getting involved in my trades. You know?
That's how I like it, Nick.
So before that, we'll start off with lightning round.
Yes, sir.
Odd man rush.
Odd man rush.
Odd Man Rush.
This is the odd man rush, where our 30-second takes take 3 minutes.
Last 3 minutes, yeah.
We tried to squeeze in as much as possible in this one.
How about we try to keep it nice and short this week?
Well, you're hosting, Vince,
Yes.
this segment, so please keep it short. Keep
But
it
I'm not.
concise.
I'm just asking the questions. You guys got to keep it short.
No,
All
good
right.
luck with that.
Nick, first, Montgomery fired by the Boston Bruins. Good, bad, or status quo for the Bruins players in fantasy. And we just found out that he got hired by the St. Louis Blues. Didn't take him more than 2 days. 5 days.
5 days.
So, Nick, what do you think? What do you think of this, Boston wise and St. Louis wise?
Well, it's very interesting because I think it was listener Jamie that came out and said that this guy has an absolutely amazing record as a coach.
61, 21, and 5, if I'm not mistaken. No,
124,
or 100. It was
41 and something.
120, 41, and 23 overall regular season record for Jim Montgomery.
What have you done for me lately?
However, there's two factors that I want to talk about really quickly. Number one is the goaltending will get you fired. And Swayman's 884 save percentage is one of the reasons why the team was just lackluster, not going anywhere. So that's not a good thing. And secondly, I don't think it was only performance-based, because from when I listened to 32 Thoughts, the podcast this week, they were talking about the fact that this had to do with Cam Neely and negotiations for an extension for Montgomery, and how they kind of had some philosophical differences of how the Bruins should be run that led to the firing. So good on St. Louis, who's the winner in all this, because not that Drew Bannister was a bad coach, but Jim Montgomery is clearly a notch above. So I think this is going to be great for St. Louis in the long run. How much of an effect will it be this year? Maybe we'll see a little bit of a coaching bump in stats for St. Louis players. So expect guys like Buchnevich, Kyrou, Thomas to continue being studs and maybe getting a little bit more.
I wonder how much his confrontation with Marchand and Pasternak had to do with any of his firing. So it'd be interesting.
So just a quick note before we move on. Was it Cassidy? Between
Bruce
Cassidy, Claude Julien, and Montgomery, neither of them survived 10 days after their firing. They already had another job after they got fired from Boston.
I think people realize that a good coach is hard to come by. And if one gets fired for A, B, C reason, why not take advantage?
Yeah.
I wonder why nobody signed Michel Therrien yet. Number 2.
We said good.
Junior, Zellweger has a power play 1 and is coming out of his shell. Has he surpassed Minchukov on the fantasy depth chart?
Ooh, I think so for now. For now, at the beginning of the season, it was kind of a standstill. We didn't know who was going to take it, but he clearly has the power play 1 now. He's coming out of his shell. He's on pace for 41 points, which is he had 28 last year, so it's a nice step in his development. He's progressing really well. I would say, yeah, he took over from Mintyukov right now, but I think it can change at any given time based off performance. And seeing how he's so young, he'll have his ups and downs, so I see a lot of fluctuation between the two. But I do think in raw offensive talent, I think Zellweger has the edge.
Good, Nick.
That was pretty quick, guys.
That was good. I didn't even time that one. I didn't have time to start the timer.
Nick, JT Miller leaves is taking a personal leave. Will miss minimum 6 games. Are you worried? Which Canucks benefits from the JT Miller?
Well, one thing that I'll say right off the bat is anytime you see someone take time off for personal leave, it's very important that we have, your mental health takes priority on anything else. So I wish him the best of luck. I hope that JT Miller figures out whatever he has to figure out. The only quote that we actually have is Patrick Alvin saying, right now our sole focus is making sure that JT knows the entire organization is here to support him. And out of respect for JT, we'll have no further comment. So it's an indefinite leave of absence. You're right, 6 games, I think, was what they had initially said might be the time he misses, but we don't know. When they say indefinite leave of absence, and it could be something that the whole organization is here to support him, this could be long term. As a GM, you don't know.
Yeah.
So just, if you have an LTIR spot and you could shove him in there, that's great. If you don't, you might have to make some desperate moves like I did that we're going to talk about later.
I was going to say, out of respect to him and his family, the one thing you can't do is trade the guy during this difficult time.
Okay, it's different fantasy leagues and different real
I don't know,
life.
Nick. I think you're a little disrespectful if you ask me.
Junior. This one hurts so much. Alex Ovechkin out 4 to 6 weeks, fractured tibia. How much is this set him back to the chase for Gretzky? Who do we expect to step up in the meantime for Washington? Who are on fire?
Does it set him back for Gretzky? For sure. Anytime you miss 4 to 6 weeks,
It's a third of the
it's a
season.
6 weeks. Let's average 3 games a week. It's 18 games.
It's a third of the season, they said.
I mean, do I think if he continues that pace, he can still catch up to him after these 6 weeks? Yes, but I don't think he can sustain that pace he was on. He's on pace for 114 points. The last time he hit over 100 points was his 3rd year in the NHL. His first 3 years in the NHL, he had over 100-point pace. That is crazy. Anyhow, really unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate because everyone was rooting for him and he was taking advantage of that. Who takes advantage? Well, look, my eye is on Miroshnichenko. They called him up. He took his spot right now on that line with Protas and Strome. But I look to Connor McMichael, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Tom Wilson to keep that tide rolling because they're the ones who have been providing a lot of the offense too. I have a slight edge to Miroshnichenko, a little bit of a new slate for him, and I'm curious to see how he does on that line.
Nick, Auston Matthews heads to Germany to see a specialist that he's apparently already worked with. Leafs downplaying it, but should Leafs fan and fantasy GMs be worried? Also, Matthew Nyes on IR because of that big hit that he received. First thing, what do we think about Auston Matthews? Is this
Who did not play again tonight?
yeah? Who do we think this is like a possible long-term IR spot for him? And how is Toronto gonna replace all his goals?
Well, you can't replace the goals, but Toronto doesn't need to replace the goals. What Toronto needs to do is just stay afloat, keep playing well, and it's regular season, so you don't care. Now, is he going to break any scoring records this year? Obviously, that's a lot harder to do when you miss time. What I really want to say, though, is that he's, going to Germany, getting a second opinion on something that's ailing him. I heard some rumors that it might be shoulder or wrist. Anyways, I'm not really sure. My 30 seconds are up. The fact of the matter is that Matthews hasn't been skating since November 10th. He skated this Saturday for the first time, so that's 14 days that he hadn't even touched the ice. He didn't play. He's missed 8 games. He looks like he's trending to be coming back soon, but really what they want is Matthews healthy for the playoffs. They don't really care about the dog days of November, which are not important times. As far as Nyes is concerned, that sucks because Nyes was actually producing pretty decently for a fantasy player. If you have Matthews and you're a GM like me who has him in 2 leagues, and they're both redraft leagues, our co-host league and decent league, you hang on to him for dear life and wait till he comes back and hopes he puts up at least 50 in the next few months.
One thing is Toronto doesn't miss him. And the real leader on that team seems to be doing a good job.
Stop it. You keep
I'm
trying
just saying,
to
he
create
does better without him.
controversy.
The team's doing better without him.
You're creating controversy where there's none.
Johnny Tavares.
Please.
I feel this could be they could pull Vegas Knights over here. Keep him in IR till they're go
Hey,
pick
if they
up,
keep winning, there's no point. And they only play twice this week, so
Yeah.
plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Junior, a player you have, Ken Johnson, is back and hasn't missed a beat.
I'm so
2
disappointed. in
goals in his shootout versus Lightning. What's his fantasy outlook heading into the second quarter of the season?
I'm really curious to see if he could sustain this. He was a surprise to me. This was like my evaluation year for him. I needed him to show me something this year, and he did. And then unfortunately, he got hurt. He's got 9 points in 6 games. He's on pace for 123 points. Obviously, that's not sustainable, I don't think.
I don't think.
I don't think. Who knows? But hey, would you have thought Connor McMichael would be among the top scorers in the league? Anyhow, a lot of crazy things happening in the NHL this early on. But I look forward to him to keep producing going into the second quarter of the season. He'll have, again, his ups and downs. Hopefully, he could stay healthy. But if he can keep this up, then I think he'll be the player I was expecting him to be. Patrick Kane-esque style. Not necessarily his caliber, but his style. Playmaking winger. Curious to see if he can try to get close to 70 points, but that'd be nice.
Staying with Columbus quickly. Is Fantilli worrying you guys?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you looked at Columbus, all of their young players like Marchenko, Kent Johnson, Voronkov, like all these guys took a couple of years to really get going, and I think Fantilli is just younger than those guys. So he's gonna get there. It's just not his time yet.
Speaking about young guys, Nick Celebrini is back and playing well. Based off of what we've seen so far, what can we expect from a healthy Celebrini this year? And what can you tell me that San Jose have given, not permission, but have given the U.S. junior team the okay to take Will Smith on their team, but have not done it for the Canadian with Celebrini?
Well, I think Celebrini's role is just more important. You're talking about a top-line center, possibly franchise center for years to come, whereas Will Smith is going to be a great winger that scores goals, most likely. For me, Celebrini has missed a little bit of time here. He's only played 11 games. He has 7 points in those 11 games, which is a 52-point pace, which is actually very good for a rookie. So we've always said that 45 to 55 is great for a rookie. He's on pace to do very well, and it's a very sustainable 11% shooting percentage. It's not like he's doing incredible things. He's just a very good player already at the age of 18, right? So this is huge. I think Celebrini has shown that if he was healthy all year, maybe he'd be fighting for the Calder, but maybe Dustin Wolf is the new favorite for the Calder moving forward. Anyways, we'll see about that.
Well, when he's not scratched, Mishkov makes a great case.
Sorry, Michkov as well. Yeah, Michkov and Wolf right now, it looks like a 2-horse race.
Did you see Celebrini's play in overtime before they scored?
Mm-hmm.
His back check, dives, poke checks the puck.
But
Telling you, go back the other
that
way.
was the biggest thing they said about him. He was young, but he was ready. He was already a very good two-way player.
Yeah.
So he understood his IQ is very high. Junior, Robert Thomas is back. So we're tossing Bugnevich back on the wing. Blues have their 3 top guys on the same line. We're not sure if Montgomery is gonna keep that like that, but for now that's what it is. Will this boost their production?
I hope so. From I have Kyrou and Buchnevich in LPHL, so I do hope this boosts their production because it's been a bit underwhelming to start the season.
Agreed.
I don't know if this is going to last, though, with Montgomery. I think he might choose to balance it out a little bit. Jake Neighbors hasn't necessarily proven not to be on the first line. I think he's earned every right to have a shot there. So we'll see. We'll see what it does with Montgomery. Unfortunately, that threw us off a little bit. But if they do stay together, it's only good things. Can't get it much worse.
No,
not that they've had a bad season. Sorry, but
they haven't had a bad season as a team, but their stars haven't been producing like stars, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But is that because their secondary scoring is so bad that basically they're a one-line team right now? If they put all those 3 guys together,
I think they were expecting a bit more from Braden Shen. Like Jake Neighbors is doing his
that's
part.
I'll take an example. The Montreal Canadiens. You have Caulfield, Suzuki, and so they're not producing at what they're supposed to producing because basically opposing teams know that just put your best players against the first line. The second, third, fourth are not scaring us to score any goals.
Yeah, but Bushnevich was separated from Thomas and Kyrou the whole season so far.
Yeah.
So he was centering the second line with I think Neighbors and Sad or whoever, Holloway, and it wasn't working separated. So at least now you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You're right, but at least they're gonna really have to concentrate on that line, which could create on its own. I think the Broberg injury really showed how thin they are on offensive defensemen, because without Broberg there, you're hoping a lot out of Perunovic, who hasn't shown it yet. You're hoping a lot out of Falk, who hasn't really shown that he could run with it anymore.
And tell you what, looking at their center depth chart, there's a nice spot for Dvorsky on this team. When he's ready, the spot is there.
Yeah,
he's there in the AHL, my friends. Seattle Kraken's Nick Eberle out 8 weeks. Joey Decord is putting up better numbers than last year. Is he for real? And this is a Seattle team who, remember, during the expansion picked up Grubauer and Drieger when he was on fire with Florida. And Decord has, we can like confidently say that he's outmatched both those guys right now.
Well, I think that Decord is definitely showing that he is a goaltender to stay in Seattle. And you might think that that's a foregone conclusion, like something very stupid that I just said. But the fact of the matter is that, like you said, he was their third stringer a couple of years ago. So he's really taking the bull by the horns here. Last year, he had a 916 save percentage, and he's on a 922 save percentage so far this year. He's had 4 wins in his last 5 games played, and all 5 of them were considered quality starts, which means that even though the one he lost, it's not him the problem. 2.30 goals against average, like very, very good numbers. 71% quality start percentage. It's weird how he came out of nowhere a bit, but he's doing it back-to-back seasons so far. So if anybody was smart enough, like listener Dan, to jump on him when he was a free agent, good for you, because you found yourself a star. And Riker Evans is really the story in Seattle. Because once they lost Dunn, Riker Evans just came right in, took his spot, and hasn't looked back. The guy's putting up points like crazy. Anyways.
Dunn is skating, though. Dunn is skating and on the verge of returning.
Or getting traded. No, I'm kidding.
TMZ.
Let's talk about the king, the prime minister, the president of the loose leaf papers of loose leaf papers, Frederick Anderson. Obviously, he's going to be out. Frederick Anderson is never out for like 2 games, 3 games. It's always 8 to 32 weeks. That's what he's out for. So right now, they're saying he's out for 8 weeks. Kochetkov is 8-1-0 since the injury. If Carolina trade for a goalie, what impact does it have on Kochetkov? And should Carolina trade for a goalie since Kochetkov is so hot?
Well, Kochetkov left in overtime of the last game because he took a blow to the head. So hopefully it's not neck related, because that could be really long term. If it's concussion, maybe we're not looking 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 2 to 4. Look, Anderson, I tried to give him a pass with the blood clot, saying how it's not an actual injury, but at this point he's just susceptible to not being on the ice, to not being rostered, and definitely not someone you can rely on. So I know last week's episode was cut the cord. I'm officially cutting the cord with Frederick Anderson. Now, do I think they should trade for a goalie? I think they might have to. I don't know if Spencer Martin is quality enough to be a 1B, because I think with Kochetkov, you might need a 1B. I don't know if he's used to that volume of starts. So at least for this year, a 1B, like maybe a Gibson, if you don't depend on him to be so good, but you have a 1B with
You don't think they could go
Kochetkov.
get the Zamboni driver?
What was his name? Just
Arbor, no?
Akers.
Akers, no.
Akers. He beat when he shut out Toronto. Yeah.
He didn't
But,
shut out Toronto.
He didn't shut out. He just
Oh
won
no,
against
he
Toronto.
won. Okay,
I
but
think he only had like 4 saves out of 10 shots, but he still lost.
Anyhow,
Toronto still lost.
coming back to Anderson and Kochetkov, I think this is great news for Kochetkov GMs. He'll get a bit more starts, and he seems to be more consistent this year than previous years.
And he's playing on a very well built team. Right?
Yeah.
He's not. They're not throwing him to the wolves.
But wasn't it you that said that this team is taking a massive step back?
No, it's still time to
During
take a
the
massive
offseason?
step. There's still time.
During
Where
the
are they?
offseason?
Where are they in the standings?
They're up there.
No.
Yeah.
They're among the top
Well,
teams.
They're
we'll
among
check.
the top teams in the league.
We will go check, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Odd Man Rush.
They're fourth in the league.
Yeah, not first.
If you ain't
They're
first,
fourth.
you last.
They're fourth in the league. Unbelievable.
Next,
That's amazing. What's next on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen? We have. Oh, yay, my turn. Well, in this rumbling section, we're going to talk about Nick's blockbuster. Let's say what it is. It's a blockbuster trade in loose pucks hockey league, and he's taking a sip of water because he got.
he gave up.
I was gonna use a terrible word, so I'm gonna just rethink what I wanted to say. But he got the life sucked out of him in this deal, and tell us about it, Nick. So you traded for Roman Josi. What did it cost you?
Wait, Nick. Before you tell us what it's cost you, you need to, for the listeners, make them know the situation. So, what's the situation with your team in LPHL right now?
Okay. So I won last year, and I'm in top 3 right now.
Thank you.
Fighting for a championship.
I'm in first. Junior's
And
in
who are
first.
your defensemen right now on your team?
I'm in first.
As of right now on my team, my defensemen are, well, Makar,
Okay.
Fox,
Mm-hmm.
Uyghur,
Mm-hmm.
Bowen Byram.
Okay.
Wow.
So now, what's
Wow.
the trade that you made?
So I went and I picked up Roman Josi and a 3rd round pick for my first next year.
Mm-hmm.
An injured and don't know when he's going to come back, JT Miller. And Tijiginla.
Wow.
Now, why?
Wow. That's a ransom.
So we have to understand a little bit how
Those pucks works.
I don't think,
LPHL works.
and I don't think that's much of a ransom.
We have to talk about a little bit how LPHL works because LPHL is a 30 roster limit, and that's total, including your rookies, including your starters,
Yeah, so-
including your and there's a salary cap.
Yeah.
that's
So by the
associated
time
with
the
it.
draft ends,
You have to be 30.
you have
people.
to have 30 players. After that, it's whatever you
It's
want.
free reign
And
as long as you maintain within the salary cap floor and maximum.
exactly. And the draft includes rookies, free agents. They're all in one pool,
So
so it makes the picks a little bit more valuable.
the reason why I was willing to give up a Tijiginla is because my rookies on my bench who are not playing in the league include Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault, Berkeley Catton, Matthew Nyes is playing in the game, and Zary is playing in the game. But I also have David
Tsiplikov?
Jiricek. Tsiplikov is playing, yeah. So it's I was able to give up a Tijiginla because I had other guys that are closer to NHL ready that I think are going to be as good, if not better. He really wanted Berkeley Catton from me, and I preferred to lose Iginla rather than Berkeley Catton. So that's really what the trade was. For me, Roman Josi is not automatically my best defenseman. But it gives me a defense of Fox, Makar, Josi, Uyghur right now as my top 4. And I think that that's probably the best in the league. No, it is the best.
No, it is the best in the league. You already had the best in the league with Fox and Makar.
Right. So I saw an opportunity in Josi because Quebec was not going for it this year, and they had an aging Josi on the roster. And it's early enough that this gives me a nice boost. But there are other deals in the works as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, and from Quebec's standpoint, I think he cashed in because he doesn't have prolific prospects in his team. Not yet, anyway.
He was always trying to compete. He has McDavid, right? So when you have McDavid, you always try to compete. I think this year he's realizing that he might have to retool, and to retool, you need.
Well, if he gets a JT Miller healthy next year,
Well, that's
Yeah,
it.
but
Like
it's-
JT Miller helps him right away to
Right off the
compete.
bat.
But not only JT Miller,
plus a first.
he
And the
has-
first round
TIRAGE
pick could be
Gilner.
a roster player, a prospect. It could be, he
but
can
that's what I'm
choose
saying,
what's
even
best
with
player available.
TIRAGE Gilner right now hasn't played a game in the NHL, but he's still a hot prospect.
Yeah, and
He's a prospect people will trade for, right?
Yeah.
So you need
it's
those
an asset. Yeah.
to make. It's an asset that you need to make your team better. So that's what I'm saying. He's in the middle of a retool now, where he needs to gain those draft picks and young players to try and build his team.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well
Well, I came close. I was negotiating too. I came close, but I drew the line at Dustin Wolf.
Oh, we didn't do the. We have a trade to announce.
Oh, there we go. We got it.
But you know what? That's what the fun thing about trades and the fun fact of having different types of leagues.
We have a trade to announce.
Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't do this trade in Lama. In Lama, a rookie is much more important than it is in LPHL.
Yeah, because you can find them. There's a greater pool because we have less roster, less
That's right.
contracts.
So every offseason, there's always 1, 2, 3 of these guys
Yeah.
that weren't picked last year that all of a sudden are worth something. And you don't have that in Lama, because in Lama, you're literally drafting 7 rounds of prospects. And then you're doing a free agent frenzy. And, we'll talk about Adam's team a little bit later on. But LPHL is the league where you could kind of do these hot trades
Yeah.
and that kind of makes it fun, to be honest. It's less restricting. In that
Yeah,
sense.
and then the second. So I've been telling him later on in the season I'm gonna come see you for Yossi, and then he was telling me, okay, but he's in negotiations. So and then as soon as I hear Nick's in negotiation,
And
then
you guys were out for dinner last night.
yeah,
while
we were all out for dinner. So then the discussions ramped up. I have Vince's first round pick, which is possibly
lottery
a
pick.
top 3 pick, a top lottery
Not
pick.
possibly will be, because I'm in a rebuild. So
It'll be a lottery pick, so that was very tempting for him, and that was the main piece he wanted. And
because I have his lottery pick.
yeah, because you have Quebec's lottery pick anyhow. So then he was looking at that and Lukanen, but in the end, he really wanted Dustin Wolf. And I just think goalies are too valuable in this league. And I worked so hard to revamp my goaltending and to have a future and a present that I was too scared to give him up. So I didn't bite the bullet on that one. So you won the sweepstakes.
It's all right. It was fun.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right.
Well, what's interesting is that Vince can still come get his pick if he has anything tempting to offer.
I checked, my friends. It's hard. It's hard for me to do anything right now because I'm like, whatever trade I do, I need to pick up salary, or else I'm going to be under the salary floor, and I don't have
The players you thought
players
would
I
perform
thought
that,
that
you
I
could
kept.
sell high.
So I was one of those idiots that kept the Bertuzzi's because he played with Chicago, the Skinners and the Arvidsson because they played with Edmonton and all that, and it's all like biting me in the ass. Like
yeah, but in a
players
rebuilding team, you have to take a chance on
yeah,
those guys.
exactly. Like I have John Carlson, I have Montour, but the problem is all the top guys are so all the top guys in the league are so salary tight
Yeah.
that they have nothing to give back. Their bench, the players on the bench all make $1 million and less. So I would have to take 9 of their players to sell you Carlson, which makes no sense.
I mean, I have $6 million in cap space, so there's a deal that could be worked out there.
And listen, I might be coming to you to dump some salary soon.
Why don't you come to me to dump salary? Okay, well that was
I just want to tension you.
that was interesting. So what's your advice here? So you've done a couple of these trades where you trade an injured, let's say it's Star. You've done it with Hamilton. Now you're doing it with JT Miller. Is this something you're really comfortable doing? And what makes it comfortable for you to say,
Okay. The first thing that you have to say is that I have to be comfortable losing the trade,
yeah, agreed.
because that's the first thing that
You don't
I
have-
have to say to myself. In the
Exactly.
long run, I'm giving up more than I'm getting.
Yeah,
But if it leads to that one championship,
exactly.
that's all that I really care about. And in LPHL last year, the Hamilton trade Was it last
No,
year?
I had Hamilton. I traded for Hamilton. I traded a injured line A for Hamilton. You did it in Lama.
Oh, sorry, but I've done it in the past as well in this league, and I've won championships from it. So yes, have I paid too much? Absolutely, but I've also won because of these trades. And you got to put all your chips in the basket if you're trying to win.
You can't be hesitant when you try to win, because then you'll be stuck.
How many
in the
years
middle.
have we been doing LPHL? 5.
This is our. You won 3 years in a row,
Then you won once.
and then you won.
then
So
I
this
won?
is our 6th season.
So this is our 6th season. So I've won.
We should have just counted the blocks here.
So I've won 4 so far out of 5.
Yeah,
But
dynasty.
what fantasy owners have to understand is that if you're in contentions, you need to live in the present, and if you're rebuilding, you need to live in the future.
Yeah,
And that's what it is. You like Nick said, if you're a GM who wants to win every trade, you'll never be in contention. It is just that simple. You need to understand that if you're in contention, you're living in the present. You know that there's some trades you're going to give up, and sometimes you might give up young players that are going to be superstars 5 years from now. But in those 5 years, the player you picked up will keep you in contention for 2-3 years.
All right.
and just one more
We
thing.
have a trade to announce.
Go.
I was so
Yeah, never trade.
No, I was
No.
going to say that was the
that
end
was
of
the end
the
of the
segment.
segment. No, but so I'm in
But I
a
don't wanna
similar.
spend all the time
I'm
on
in a
my
similar
team here.
situation as you, right? Top 3 for all these years.
Yeah.
Is this the type of deal I should have made? I should have got rid of my Dustin Wolf.
No.
You think this deal said?
But Dustin Wolf right now helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He
Dustin
does.
Wolf to Gilna is not even a
JT Miller
comparable.
doesn't help me.
Got it. So
That's the
you wouldn't
difference.
necessarily have. I mean, it depends your situation.
It depends on your rosters.
But
your
you don't
roster
think this
construction, but-
not doing this deal would hurt me
No.
to win a championship?
No, because Wolf is helping you right now, whereas JT Miller was useless for me.
JT Miller is a minimum of 6 games, and you don't know how
We
far
wish
it
him.
can go.
We wish him
Oh yeah, of course.
the best. We're talking purely fantasy here, so I don't want to be radioed. But the fact is that in a fantasy team, I got to make hard decisions. And JT Miller is one of my favorite players on this team, and he was center, left wing, right wing eligible. But a Roman Yossi doesn't become available all the time. You gotta pounce on those opportunities,
Yeah.
and that's what it pretty much was here. Moving on to the next segment, because I'm sick and tired of talking about my teams. Let's talk about our waiver wires.
Do we have to?
Is there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor in the house?
This is not it. This is not it.
What is it?
This is why we name our sound bites.
Yeah, man, we really need to start naming us. Is it this one?
Actually, that's good. That's good.
That's actually fantastic.
That's our
for-
injury one.
Why do
that
we even
used to
have a waiver wire?
this
We
one.
put the price is right.
I don't know.
0-0-0-0.
Okay, but we're not there yet. So, we are going to go back in time a little bit because Junior put it in the prod sheet that, in fact, not last week's waiver wire pickup that nobody cares about anymore. His Garland pick had 2 points on Sunday night, which gave him a
No,
push.
1 point on Sunday night, giving him two
You
out
wrote-
of four, two
oh,
in 4 games.
2 points out of 4
So
games,
it's a
which
push.
is a push for
So I
him.
don't get a loss.
I don't think we should count this. I think this is way too late.
Junior's
and
just petty.
Junior is just really trying really hard to stay relevant in his old age. But the fact of the way we're gonna be doing it is that last week's picks, like Vince said, were absolutely atrocious.
0-0-0-0.
We got zeros all over the
Oh
place.
my goodness,
And I
brutal.
think that it's very important that we apologize to our listeners.
Tell me that you're sorry, didn't think I'd turn around.
The fact is that, ladies and gentlemen, we failed you. We have provided you absolutely zero fantasy advice for the waiver pickups because 0 was what all our waiver pickups did. We apologize. We will try to do better this week. We all took losses. Ryan McLeod, 0. Evan Rodriguez, 0. And Eric Robinson, 0. All these guys had something in common. They were all playing higher in the lineup than they should have. So we thought it was going to create some sort of points for them. And even though their colleagues might have put up points, they did not. So again, we do apologize for this. And we're going to try to be better this week. So Vince, this week, to be better. What did you do to be better this week?
All right, so I'm going with
The way you said
Braden Shen from the St. Louis Blues.
Braden Shen.
And he's 40% rostered. The reason is a coaching change always like fires up some players.
Oh, I like that.
And they have a new coach. And I like you guys, I do not think he's going to keep those first three guys on the same line. With Boston, he always had Marchand, Pasternak on separate lines. He likes to balance his lines. So if Abuknevich can get pushed on the second line with Shen, I think it might help him this week. They only have 3 games, so they're not playing 4 games like I think half the league is. But I feel with a coaching change, new system, he's going to get in there and he's going to try to get that secondary scoring for the team going. So that's why I went with Braden Shen.
All right. My turn. I'm going to go with Dmitry Voronkov, who is only owned in 24% of leagues. People are sleeping on Voronkov, I think. Voronkov is playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He has 4 points in his last 3 games. He is actually 5 goals, 2 assists for 7 points. He's only pacing for 52 points so far this season. However, when I was looking at Voronkov, and I just changed it to my team because we were talking about my trade, but he had 4 goals in the last 5 games. So he's on fire right now. And he's a 21% shooting percentage. I don't think this is going to last all year, but I would take advantage of the fact that he is, in fact, putting up points right now.
Ride him while he's hot.
Ride him while he's hot. The team in Columbus is actually performing, I think, better than what people expected. They're not the dumpster fire they used to be. And we were kind of talking about how the young guys have matured a little bit. Like the Marchenko is just doing great. And right now, Voronkov is playing with Monahan and Marchenko
I think
on the top line.
That center guy is having a
Sean
hell of a
Monahan's
season.
having a nice season
Hell of a
again.
season, my friends.
Again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so my pick, Dmitry Voronkov.
Voronkov.
24% owned. What do you think, Mr. Junior, on yours?
Well, like, I'm going to go look at Washington.
All right, that's done. So,
I'm going to go look at Washington, and who's the guy that you want that you automatically know is going to step up and give it his all to produce points when their leader is missing? None other than Pierre-Luc Dubois.
that's exactly what I would have said.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I
All
wanted.
jokes aside, seeing how pathetic my picks have been,
Might as well do another one.
I just told myself, go against the grain and take who you wouldn't actually choose.
Okay.
So I know I spoke of Miroshnichenko before, but I don't want to rely on a young kid to just come in and automatically assume he's going to take over for Ovechkin. And I think Pierre-Luc Dubois will be given a bit more responsibility. He's averaging 16, almost 17 minutes of ice time. That might go up. What scares me is that on daily face-off, he wasn't on power play 1. They were actually dressing 2 defensemen, Chikrin and Carlson, on power play 1. I'm hoping that changes. He already scored in the first game without Ovechkin, Dubois did. That line has been on fire with Tom Wilson and Connor McMichael. So I just think, look, they're playing 4 games. He should be produced. He's on pace for 53 points, which is better than last year. Only 2 goals. So I think he's trending in the right direction, and hopefully not having Ovechkin gives him even a bit more of a boost. I don't know. Not that he needed it because he didn't play with him, but if he could
I think you're
squeeze,
grasping at straws there, but I like the.
if he could
the
squeeze his way
enthusiasm.
onto power play 1, then I think we're in business.
So, guys, there's literally
49% roster.
24 teams playing 4 games this week.
Yeah.
And there's the Thanksgiving week day of the Thursday. So there's no hockey on that day because it's all football related. But so just keep an eye on that. There's only 2 teams that are playing 2 games, and that's the Oilers and the Leafs. So if you have Oilers and Leafs, you're never benching McKinnon or Draisaitl, but I mean, you might consider benching a Hyman the way he's been playing lately. If you have somebody that's playing 4 games this week. Guys, do you guys want to do our co-host league update and waiver wire pickups?
Let's. Bless you. I'm gonna drop a player this week again.
I'm going to drop a player too this week. Only this time I'm dropping a rookie and hoping that I actually get a rookie in return.
Me too.
Oh,
Sorry,
boy.
I gotta sneeze again.
It's okay. This is what happens when you spend an entire weekend moving a bakery. Which we all did, by the way.
It's the dust, everybody.
It's the amount of dust that we had to move. So, who goes first? I think it's me because I'm in last place again.
That is correct.
All right. Well,
By 100 points.
still in last place. Where's my papers?
All right, so I'm gonna mix these. I
will be dropping the rookie, Will Smith.
All right, so San Jose was already in the pile because only one player from San Jose has been rostered.
I don't mind picking up San Jose again, to be honest with you.
It's got to be a rookie though. You'll take
I'll
Celebrini.
pick- Yeah, see how you think, but you're a little bit slower in the
I think you should pick Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is a
Oh,
very
yeah. I think they have a guy called McGroarty
Yeah.
that's doing very well in
All
the
right,
AHL.
look at Vince and pick your card.
Shit, I gotta sneeze again.
And I picked the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
What? I don't even know if they have a rookie.
Oh, wow, Nick, you might have been...
Winnipeg. So, does Winnipeg actually have a rookie on their team? I'm not very confident right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling like Will Smith would have been better served here than what I'm about to pick up. But I took a risk, and when you're in last place, sometimes you got to take risks.
Hey,
right?
sometimes you get Draisaitl, sometimes you get Aturati. Is he a rookie?
Yeah, well, yeah, him. But is he playing?
Yeah, he's playing.
So, all right. The first rookie I see here is Brad Lambert, who is currently in the AHL.
There's Jaeger.
There's Jaeger, who is also in the AHL. And that's about it.
Wow.
So we're going to go with waste of a pick here, unfortunately. But let's move on. So I will take Brad Lambert, hoping that he gets called up at some point. Next.
That sucks for you, doesn't it?
So Winnipeg is out, right?
Yeah, because I have Hellebuck.
All right. So I have three injuries. Kaprizov, fortunately, did not sustain a serious injury from what the reports are saying. Tage Thompson should be on his way back. My defensemen have been pretty crap. So Seth Jones is injured. I believe it was 4 to 6 weeks. He will be my drop. Chicago goes back in.
Seth Jones, eh? Yeah, he's injured for a while.
Seth Jones is injured.
I think
goes back in the pile.
Alex Vlasic took over, I think, top power play on that one. I was really thinking Korchinski was going to be called back up, but
Nope.
doesn't look like they're giving him some time to marinate in the AHL, which is not a bad thing.
He
here.
needs it.
Oh my God, the Chicago Blackhawks.
So he drops the Chicago Blackhawks, Seth Jones,
Defenseman, so he's got to go pick up a
defenseman, and now he has to pick up a replacement
Guys,
defenseman
this is brutal, man.
from Chicago
this
Blackhawks.
Is freaking
Just spoke
brutal.
about
I think you should just grab Seth Jones.
This is
Pick him back up.
This is absolutely ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Seth Jones, let's just do it.
No, now I'm pissed off.
No, don't be pissed off.
This
Come
is-
on.
no, I'm
you
pissed
know
off.
that you're going to end up last. You know it.
You shut your mouth.
I think this pool is who's not going to finish last.
Alec Martinez is on the top. No,
No,
Alex
Vlasic, like I said before, which I'm sure you were listening, is on the top power play. Martinez is on the second power play. So
Oh, yay. Can't wait.
what's it going to be?
What's it going to be? Just give me a second.
No, there's no
here.
second. It's Chicago. You don't need to change the teams.
I just need to see who has more points. It's probably going to be Vlasic at this point. I don't even care.
Always get the top power play guy. That's my opinion.
8 assists in 21 games. Connor Murphy, 8 assists in 21 games. All right. We're going to go with Alex Vlasic.
All right.
Yeah.
And Chicago can still go back in the pile because Vlasic is the only player.
Yes, because I dropped Bedard last week.
That is correct.
So unfortunately, it's not a drop I wanted to do, but it's a drop that I'm forced to do. Obviously, I gotta drop Alex Ovechkin out 4 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, I need someone. I don't really need someone to pick up his points, but I just want someone to pick up his points.
So who are we rooting? You know what? I'm not even going to say anything.
But that's
We
what
always say something, and then it ends up his way,
He always
right?
ends up winning everything.
But that's why
Last week I called Boldy, and he got Boldy, so I'm not calling anything. This
Listen, if I can get New Jersey, would be nice.
I hope he gets Pierre-Luc Dubois. Who
Ottawa.
you see, now you just jinxed it.
cares? It's Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's the worst waiver
He's
pickup.
going to get Connor McMichael. Why would he take Dubois?
Oh yeah, red. I think Washington.
Come on, Chicago.
Like Junior.
Washington again. I called it.
Yeah, but he's got
But how is
decent
it that-
options.
Okay, that's freaky though.
Yeah, it's a bit freaky.
It's
That's
a bit
2
freaky
weeks
that
in
we
a row.
called
we
it
call
2
it.
weeks in a row. What
So
he's gonna get.
Washington is back on the board. Nick has Dylan Strome, if I'm not mistaken.
I
right?
do have Dylan Strome.
And Washington is out of the availability because I believe I have John Carlson.
What?
John
Then,
Carlson.
then it should have never been.
Then Washington should never been put in.
No,
the
but then
pack.
how
Yes,
can you
because
have
you
Ovechkin?
dropped a player. Now that you're picking up a player, it makes 2 Washington players for next week.
It's already 2. If you have John Carlson and I have Dylan Strome. Anyways, we'll talk about this.
Oh,
after
you
the
have Dylan
podcast.
Strome, so you can. Oh, yeah.
I think you're wrong. But anyways,
You don't have Dylan Strome.
let's keep going.
Oh no,
Unless
he's got to pick another player.
Pick Washington. Go. He dropped Ovechkin.
I don't know where you
Okay.
think you have John Carlson. You do not have John
I
Carlson.
don't have John Carlson.
No. Right now, Ovechkin and Dylan Strome were the only ones that were picked. I don't know where you see John Carlson.
You just
I've
wasted
been
a
too-
good 5 minutes of the
I've been
podcast.
too many leagues.
Listen, I'm going to go with the young guy. I'm going to go with Connor McMichael.
Oh, I do not have him. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll go with Connor McMichael. He's his line's been on fire, so I'm gonna go with him. And if he doesn't do well this year, then this week I'll just drop him. So we're good. So Connor McMichael it is.
All right. So that is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of
Are terrible.
our terrible
If you ain't first, you're last.
waiver wire pickups. I apologize for the sound. That was a little bit loud, but all right. There is a topic of conversation to this week. And what is that topic, Mr. Vince?
Give me 2 seconds. Let me do my drop.
No, it's next. You have to do it tomorrow. It's always Mondays. You have to do it.
No, I can do it now.
No, you can't.
You want to bet?
No, it doesn't let you. At the end, it tells you can't dismiss.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. To end the show, we have a topic of conversation, which is the roster triage.
Is there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor in the house?
I'm a doctor.
Oh, yes, we are. So, we're going to dissect an NHL team. And then we will dissect a fantasy team that in all the leagues we have, we chose a fantasy team. So, we will be dissecting the New York Rangers, fantasy-wise. Not standing-wise, just fantasy-wise. And after listener Adam, Rolling Fat Dubinskis in Lama, we're going to just dissect this team quick and see what's going on.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, I'll get it started here since the host is a little bit under the weather. And what I wanted to start off with was, Junior, have you noticed that the New York Rangers are an incredible team, yet they're actually not playing great lately? I mean, Panarin looks still fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And Igor Shesterkin has been one of the best goalies in the league so far. But after that, it kind of drops off pretty hard.
So,
Their secondary scoring has let them down this year.
okay, so fantasy-wise in the Rangers, who are we up on? Who are we worried about? Who do we think could bring up their game?
Yeah, so I think that who are we high on? I just mentioned Panarin, Shesterkin, Quick. If you ever need like those spot starts, Quick is amazing for that. I think Lafreniere has had a good season so far, a nice surprising season.
Yeah, let me
be
give you
honest.
guys names. Okay, so I'll give you guys the Nick just said Lafreniere.
Yeah, he's higher. He's doing very well.
Okay, Junior.
Cooley.
I'm giving
Will
the
Cooley,
names.
yeah.
I will ask you about Lafreniere.
Yeah, Lafreniere, he's been progressing, developing year after year. He's getting better and better, and he's done that again this year. 16 points in 19 games.
Okay, second player I'm going to give you. Kreider. Is he...
He's on a bit of a
trending?
cold streak.
Yeah, but is he going to be like... Is he trending? Is he trending towards that? He hit his peak last year. Now is he going to be slowly declining or quickly declining?
So last year, you said the same thing, that he was not playing well at the beginning, and he still ended up with 75 points, 39 goals. The year before that, 36 goals. Like Kreider is a goal machine, and that's what he does. In the last 3 years combined, he had 52, 36, 39. Do I think that he's all of a sudden turned into a pumpkin, into a 20 goal scorer? No. He already has 9 goals in 19 games, but he has 0 assists. So that's what's really hurting him here, right? He's on pace for 39 goals again. But the assists not being there is just bad luck. It feels like really bad luck. He's also playing about a minute under what he was averaging last year, which also plays a role in his diminished ice time, diminished opportunities to get those points. So, but I am not worried. At a 39 goal scorer, on pace for 39 goals again, and he's not 34 yet. So, like, I'm not too worried, but we're kind of starting to see a little bit of a slowdown, which is to be expected, I think.
Yeah, and look, last year he had 39 goals, 36 assists, but usually his goals are way higher than his assists. He's a goal scorer.
Yeah.
So, and goal scorers are very streaky.
Yes.
They'll go on these crazy runs, and then they'll go on these crazy slumps. The one thing that it worries me just a little bit, because it did dip, but he's on pace to shoot 220 shots or so. Last year was 246. The year before, 229, 258. That's the only thing that, like, if it was more drastic, the difference, less than, like, not just 25 shots, a difference in 82 games, I'd be a bit more worried, you know? But so I still think he can prevail to the 35 goals. And then once he gets going, though, that's a guy to ride. Like, he's going to go on a streak.
Yeah.
I think he could still hit 35, but I'm not worried yet, I wouldn't say.
Okay, so I'm going to name you 3 players, and then you guys will tell me what you guys think of these 3 players fantasy-wise. Okay? Will Cooley, Mika Zibanejad, and Vincent Trocheck.
So I'll talk about Cooley because he was actually my pickup in Lama. And Will Cooley is a player that was known for his hits. That's what he does. He's a hitter, 249 hits last year in 81 games played. He already has 79 hits this year in only 19 games played. It's insanity. But he's also putting up some shots. He's also putting up some points. He has 15 points in 19 games. And I wasn't expecting that. When I picked him up, I thought that, I needed a rookie contract that was easy to bring up and down, like an ELC, something simple for me. And he's on a 65-point pace so far this year. Do I think it will continue? No, not necessarily. I think he's maybe more of a 50-point player. But the secondary scoring that you were talking about, Will Cooley's been doing it. He's on a hot streak, 4 points in the last 4 games. And I couldn't be happier with his pickup. There's 2 pickups that I made this year, which is Protas and Cooley. And I don't know if either of them are going to sustain actual points, but both of them seem to be doing pretty well. And for free agent pickups, waiver wire pickups, I can't be happier with that.
And quickly, Zibanejad and Trocheck. Who worries you more, Nick?
Well, I mean, Zibanejad, I'm not too worried about. He's still getting his deployment. He's also a player that has these kind of streaks, right? Mm-hmm. Last year, he was sold to me at a discount practically. And I picked him up because he still ended up with 73 points. Sure, it's not the 91-point pace or the 82-point pace that he had 2 seasons prior, but 73 points is still relevant in LPHL. This year, he's on a 60-point pace. You're right, he is lower than normal. He's only a 10% shooting percentage. His career average is 13, so maybe there's going to be a little bit of an uptick there. Playing 1 minute and a half less on average so far than last year. I think that's where the real change comes. A minute and a half is pretty significant in the NHL.
Yeah.
So if he could maybe if the coach starts putting him on a little bit more, maybe he'll be putting up more points. We'll see. But they're healthy this year with Trocheck and Hedl back in the mix, and I think that's what's kind of affecting his ice time a bit.
Junior, those three players.
Cooley, I don't think enough people are talking about him for the work he's doing so far.
Do we think Rempe got sent down because of Cooley's success?
I just think Cooley's a better player, flat out.
Well, before the season started, I would have said
Rempe was the guy.
Well, I would have said they're both fourth liners.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, but Cooley's showing that he's more than that.
Look, I don't know if this is who he really is or if this is just a streak, but time will tell. But for now, he's producing, and that's great for the Rangers because guys like Trocheck are not. And Trocheck is on pace for 43 points.
And you traded away Trocheck.
I had to trade away Trocheck last week, part of salary purposes, but also part of value as well. Look, I don't think he's a 43-point player, but he's got to turn it around. I mean, he's still seeing 20-plus minutes of ice time.
Yeah.
He's still getting 69% of the power play. You know, he's a great face-off guy. He's got decent peripherals. Like, I don't know what it is, but his shooting percentage has dipped to 8.7, but he never had a crazy shooting percentage. Like, he was able to get to pace for 63 points with just a 9% shooting percentage. So, like, that doesn't concern me either. Is it just a case of bad luck? Is it... I'm not sure. He's on and off from his line with Lafreniere and Panarin because of his struggles.
So he's a cut for you, though, if you're going for it this year, right?
Yeah, you can't wait for him. I don't think you can wait for him. I really,
he could be on a steady decline.
He could be on a. I think last year was his.
He's only 31 years old.
Yeah, but it could be a steady. I'm not saying a complete decline, but I think.
I don't think he'll hit 77 points again like he did last year.
No, exactly. So.
I think he's more of a 60, 65. But I don't know how many times. Like, if he doesn't get that this year, I think we can start seeing him more as a 55, 60 player. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of the reason that's hurting him. And Zibanejad, too. Like, it's 2 years in a row now that he seems to have been, like, less and less prolific. So I'm curious to see what the Rangers do because how much of this can they sustain? Like, Zibanejad has 14 points in 19 games, which isn't so bad. But we're used to seeing him in the 70, 80, 90-point paces, and now he's pacing for 60. And he's a minus 10, so he's not even super reliable.
Yeah.
He was always a plus 15, plus 25, plus 30, so time on ice dipped. I don't know what's happening there exactly.
Okay, so give me another player, like, make it quick because we still got to talk about Adam's team. So what other player on the Rangers are you guys looking at either that you think are keeping it steady, overachieving, or are steadily declining in fantasy?
Well, I was hoping a little bit more from Adam Fox, so I wanted to talk about Adam Fox a little bit here, but he got 4 points in the last 3 games, so I'm not going to talk about Adam
He's got
Fox.
17 points in 19 games.
Yeah, but
it's not
zero
enough.
goals.
It's all assists.
0 goals. So
And for a defenseman, it's still pretty good. He's pacing for a
Of
point per
course,
game.
it's pretty good, but it's Adam Fox,
okay,
right?
so
You're
is there
expecting
any
a
other
little bit
Ranger
more.
players that we want to talk about?
There's only one more that I was going to mention as a caveat or as a throw-in, and that's Capo Caco. I had picked him up. He's playing on that line with Cooley, and that's a heavy line. Like, if you look at that line, it's a big boy line. And Capo Caco has actually been doing half decent, 11 points in 19 games, but still, considering that he only had 26 points all of last year on pace for, he's already getting close to that. So, it's good. It's good. It's better than we had last year, but he's still not fantasy relevant.
Okay, so
let's go to Adam's team.
all right.
Okay, so let's dissect.
The point of this segment, though, was to see it from fantasy perspective. Are you trying to get rid of these guys? Are you trying to buy low on these guys?
Well, the thing
Sell
is,
high,
Zibanejad, you shouldn't be selling on Zibanejad. Trocheck is the only guy you see, and to me, Trocheck is a player who's declining and not on the up high.
So you would sell Trocheck if you get the chance.
Trocheck for sure,
Yeah.
but the other guys, like it's not like I wouldn't buy high on Will Cooley right now because, like you said, we don't know if he can sustain it. I wouldn't pay a ransom for Will Cooley either. And Zibanejad, whoever has him should hold on to him. I mean, I think this is just a slump. I don't think he's he's on the decline. Like I feel Trocheck, and I like I said at the beginning, I really do think Kreider is on a decline this year. 9 goals, 0 assists. I think he's on a decline, but
It could very well be.
Still a 39 goal pace.
yeah, exactly. But 0 assists. So, okay, Adam's team.
All right.
Give me strengths, weaknesses, and if you were GM of this team, what would you be doing to upgrade it?
So, actually, I'll let you start, Junior, because I got a quote from our GM from Rolling Fat the Bizkeys that I want to talk about, but I'm going to look for that quote while you go.
And
go
he
over
was-
his team
I
a
should
little
Probably
bit.
start with that quote.
And
But
Adam was doing very well, and then I feel the Mark Stone injury hit him hard because Mark Stone was doing really well for him, and I think after that, the people that were behind him, their players just picked it up a little more back to reality, and that's how he slowly went down into the standings.
Well, it's his first year competing.
Yeah,
Because he was pretty much, I think, tanking or pretty low in the standings last year. And this year, he kind of made some savvy moves in order to try to compete. And I'll just say the quote that he gave me for this year. So he basically, I asked him for a quote and he laughed in my face. But then he said, no, the young guys are scoring. Strome is playing very well with Ovi, or it was at least until Ovi got injured. The goalies are doing really well, and he feels that the difference this year is that he went up and he grabbed Markstrom in free agency. Our free agent frenzy in Lama is a big day for us. Plus, he already had Ottinger, who's doing great. And lo and behold, his third goalie is Dustin Wolf, who's currently a top on his team for fantasy points per game, which he stole from me in another free agent frenzy. So, I mean, he has some great goaltending. I thought I had good goaltending.
So can you agree his strength on this team is goaltending right now?
His biggest strength to me is goaltending.
Okay.
I have Sorokin, Vasilevsky, and Ingram, and I think that his goaltending is just better off than I am, right off the bat.
Junior?
yeah, his strength is definitely goaltending. He started off super well because guys like Sillinger were producing better than expected. Dylan Strome was on fire. His young guys were performing. He's got Lucas Raymond, who's got a point per game pace.
Matvei
Mishkov. So for me, his weak point right now is his defense. He tried to address it by going and acquire Rasmus Sandin for a little bit more depth. Let's not forget, he's also got Mark Stone, who had 21 points in 13 games before he got hurt. So that's a massive loss for Adam. He's just in a situation where he's got some decent prospects that are going to be coming up eventually, like a Zane Parekh, Easton Cowan, Joakim Kemmel. I just don't know
He
when
bought low on Hamilton last year.
he bought low on Hamilton
while he
last
was
year.
injured.
I just wonder, something I would contemplate depending on how the next quarter goes. So now, let's say till after the holidays, how it goes, where he's situated. If he's middle of the pack, and this is me pretending to be the GM of his team, I don't know if Panarin at 33 years old is going to be as relevant for him when he's ready to make that next step. So I'm wondering if he should begin to consider possibly trading Panarin to fill some needs, but like young guy, like a young, prolific defenseman that could help him for a long time if he trades him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you have to trade him, but I would try to see what's out there to see if you could fill a few holes in your roster for the long term.
So, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think you're talking future Adam. I think you're talking about Adam at the trade deadline if he's not in it, right? Because right now he's in third place.
Yeah.
You're not trading Panarin right now.
I said after the holidays, where you see where you're at. Now, if you're... Because look, is Hyman going to stay at 8 points in 20 game pace?
But that's what I'm saying.
You know,
It's
like-
if his Hyman gets a little bit hot, if he could go out and make a trade, or first of all, he needs to get Mark Stone back because that was a big piece that's missing right now.
Yeah.
He replaced Mark Stone with Alexander Holtz, who just unfortunately, is not putting up points. If I'm Adam right now, I think it might be time to just pay a little bit in order to stay relevant. And what I mean by that, well, he has a first-round pick this year. He has a third-round pick. He has a fourth, a fifth. For me, that first rounder could go out and maybe, and especially in Lama, because first rounders are worth a lot in Lama, could go out and get you that one extra piece in order to keep your players going. And I think he's missing some D here. Jordan Spence is replacing, I think, Doughty.
I think we all thought he'd be just a tad better, eh? Jordan Spence this year.
Yeah. His Cam Fowler's injured, but hasn't really done anything. And he's another guy that's kind of, he's actually thank God Cam Fowler is injured because then he could actually put somebody in there that's putting up points. So for me, I think that being in third place in Lama is very difficult to do. I think is he going to win this year? I don't know. I don't think so because Dan is just coming strong. And Junior, you have an amazing team in Lama this year that's going strong. But third place is very, very good for Roland Fatabinskis. And I don't think he should waste it because if next year Panarin is going to be a year older, right? There's some players on this team. Like he has a pretty young team, I won't say, but you've got a couple of 30-year-olds in here that might not be as good as they were. And why not go out there and maybe use that first rounder in a draft that's not supposed to be super deep anyways. It's not like you're going to miss too much dropping a late first.
What would you consider, if not Panarin, maybe Tavares, who's having a pretty great year? Would you consider maybe selling high on Tavares in his spot?
Only if you could replace it. Like an $11 million Tavares is very difficult to move.
That's true.
So you got to find a dance partner that's willing to take on $11 million. And that's very hard to do. But if Johnny T comes in next year people in Toronto think he's coming in for league minimum. It's not. He's still a very productive player. If Johnny T comes in next year at $6 million, Adam just saved $5 million.
Yeah.
So why would you trade him away? You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that I'm looking at here is that, you need your veterans. Like he has Panarin and he has Johnny Tavares who are older, longer in the tooth. But I don't think that now is the time to trade either of these players, especially when you're in top three.
I'm looking at it really differently. You look at his goalies that he has right now, and then you look at his goalie prospects. He's got Sebastian Cossa, and he's got
Dawes and Brennan.
So you got Markstrom, Wolf, Ottinger. So goalie-wise, he's set with Ottinger and Wolf.
With Merzlinkis and Vizmelka as NHL backups.
Cossa, who still has high value right now. Still has high value. He's still right now ahead of Trey Augustin from what we're reading in the news.
Because he's closer to the NHL because he's at the
yeah, but he's
with Grand Rapids.
But for Detroit to draft Trey Augustin, that means they weren't fully confident that Sebastian Cossa could take that step, right? But now in DHL, Cossa is at, I think, 7 wins, 4 losses, a .93 save percentage. Like he's doing well.
Yeah, no, he's doing well.
So, do you not think he can get a really elite player, let's say for Sebastian Cossa and a second-round pick? Like an elite player that can help him now and in the future?
Well, look, Wolf is still 23 years old. Ottinger is still 25 years old. So that is an asset that he could afford to lose.
Because your third goalie in this league doesn't have to be... you can't have 3 elite goalies because there's only a strict amount of games that you can play.
Yeah, there's a maximum amount of games played.
So your third goalie you would want, if you do dress... Some guys just dress 2, some guys have 3. Your third goalie, you just want a guy in case, like a starter that's already in the NHL. So I feel if he wants to be in the running, he needs to... And I feel Cossa is the one guy where if he loses him, he won't lose out on that position because he's very well solidified in that position. So I would dangle Cossa out there with a second and see what kind of pick. I wouldn't trade Cossa and a second for a guy 30 and over. I trade him for a guy that's going to help me for the next 5 years, 6 years. Right?
Okay, so you're a bottom dweller. You've been tanking.
Mm-hmm.
You would ideally be a good trade partner for a guy like Adam.
Not really, because I don't have anybody to give him.
Okay, well, that was my next question. Would you have someone to give him in return for a Kosa and a second?
No, because the player he should be looking for is an elite superstar that's between the.
You're not going to get a
You're not going to
superstar
get,
for Kosa.
yeah, not for, and without a first, you won't for sure.
But even though you throw in your first and Kosa, you're telling me you can't get an elite superstar.
Why would
that's
someone trade their young superstar for? If
someone who's on the verge of retooling, rebuilding?
I don't.
But
think
if
you're
he's
gonna
young,
get
why
super
would they
young.
rebuild?
25, 26. If you're rebuilding, Junior, I'm in a rebuild. A rebuild doesn't take 2-3 years.
Yeah, but even
You're
if you're the guy's at 31 and he's a superstar, why are you going to trade him? You keep him till he's 31.
Yeah, in this league especially, it's very different from LPHL. Like LPHL, that's the type of trade you do. You throw in your first, you throw in Kosa, and you go out and you get a Jesper Bratt, right? In this league, it's much more difficult to make a trade like that because in this league, you keep your 26-year-olds until they turn 33, and then you get rid of them. It's very difficult, even if I don't think there's any rebuilding team out there that has a 26-year-old that's ready to be moved, right? Like Check and Balances came up to me and they said, well, I want Dobson, right? And that was last week. They told me, I'm looking at Dobson. And Dobson's 24 years old. Why would I move him? If you're planning to be competitive in the next 5 years, why would I move Dobson? It doesn't make any sense. So that's where I turned around and said, well, the conversation has to start with Ziv Buim, who was on his team at the time, in order for me to even consider moving a Dobson.
You don't do Jason Robertson for Cole Center first?
Absolutely not. I would never move Robertson for that.
Man.
It's just not enough. I get what you're saying, but you're going to have to add. It can't just be a first and Kosa for Robertson.
I don't know.
And there has to be. He has 18 million in cap space right now, but some of that's going to be taken up by Mark Stone coming back soon. So he's going to probably have to lose some salary in the trade as well. So maybe moving from one of his guys in order to get, like, I don't know if his depth he has enough depth right now to be a winner, but he's definitely enough depth to compete for top 3, and that's in the money, which is great.
Yeah.
Basically, the big moral of this whole conversation is that
I think Adam should buy.
me too, but
You think he should be a buyer?
But to buy-
you think he should be a seller?
I think he should wait to see. I think he still needs to wait a little bit to see
So
where
he's a
he
hold.
is. He's a hold for now for me.
All right. Next week we're gonna have another team that we're gonna do this for.
and this is just all these things that we're talking about is basically for you need to look at your league and see, like you said, LPHL is completely different from our Lama League. Dynasty leagues are completely different from yearly drop leagues. Like, you need to look at your leagues and then see, is it worth it for me to go for it, not go for it, and stuff like that. So it's an interesting situation.
To Vince's point, he mentioned Robertson, and you right away said you wouldn't, but you can't. I mean, you can't afford not to ask. You have nothing to lose. If he goes to Little Mermaids, and which just happens to be his brother, and says, "Hey, what do you think?" Maybe it sparks a conversation and they get somewhere. You never know.
Guys, feel free to give us a 5-star review. Hit like and subscribe. We went over by about 20 minutes because of it's fun talking about trades. It's fun talking about other people's teams.
Well, because people could relate. you know? So
Adam, I hope we gave you some insight here. We have 2 sells, 2 buys and 1 hold. He's a little bit of a wuss, but I hope it gave you some sort of insight. And hopefully, guys, everybody's safe out there. Keep up your mental health. Take care of yourselves. Follow us on X. Follow us on Instagram. We used Daily Face Off today. We used Hockey Prospecting. We used Frozen Tools.
Fantrax.
Fantrax is where all our leagues are at. Hit like, subscribe. Comment on YouTube. What do you guys think about Adam's team? It's projectlama.xml if you need a website. XYZ, sorry.
And
projectlama.xyz.
lastly, if you like our merch and you want some, let us know. If we get the demand, we might make some available. And lastly, thank you to Sportira, sportira.com for all your sports and corporate apparel and uniform needs. I think we look great, guys.
And gentlemen,
We'll
We're
see you guys
out.
next week.